Now, I was first caught by the fantastic name as a lifelong fan and brief friend of the late and lamented Prince, the king of all he surveyed, by the name of a Welsh band from Merthyr called PaisleyParc, but cleverly spelt with a C. They were brought to my attention by a very good friend of mine, the owner of Hamilton Academicals Football Club in Scotland, the thinking man and woman's club, as I like to call them, because in his spare time, in fact, for most of his time, Colin McGowan is working for a charity called Blameless. You'll know I've been involved in them now for quite some time. They work to help the blameless children of drug addicts and alcoholics. You couldn't get a more blameless and yet harrowingly disturbed and troubled section of our community than little children whose parents are addicted to drugs and alcohol. Colin McGowan put me on to PaisleyParc. I went on to YouTube. You'll have to do the same because for copyright reasons we can't play their music. And I found them to be absolutely astounding. I cannot believe that this band, PaisleyParc, will not be one of the biggest things in rock and roll, and very, very soon indeed. And so the opportunity to interview their manager, Gary Griffiths, manager of the band PaisleyParc, was too good to pass. And Gary's with me now, I hope. I think the band might be there, but yes, they are. How fantastic to see
George,
you. Oh,
how are you?
Is everybody called Griffiths in Merthyr Tydfil? It seems.
I think so.
I know about a dozen Griffiths in Merthyr Tydfil. Gary, thanks for joining us.
Hey, George, I know you were down in Merthyr Rising a few years ago.
I was. I've spoken at Merthyr Rising more than once, and I've spoken actually many times in Merthyr. I really love it. I love South Wales, and I'm not surprised given the life that people in South Wales have had to live with economic disaster, with disasters like Aberfan and so on, the death of traditional industry, the deindustrialization of the valleys, that this wonderful band of yours has emerged singing about real things, about real life. Tell us about them, will you?
I will, sir. I will, sir. And to be honest with you, I think one thing I'd like to say about Merthyr Tydfil, as tough and as rough as it's been for all of us, especially these young kids, and it's their learning about what we've done, and how they've grown up. It's also a wonderful town. It's a wonderful town of opportune, and it's a place that's got lots of character, as you know.
Total character, and the people are absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely.
What I mean is they've been betrayed by the politicians, by the system, and it has produced this wonderful band crying out for justice.
I know, and the guys here, they wrote a song. They've written many songs, as you know, George. But this one song that they've written most recently called Mean Streets, and it is about mean streets. It's about growing up, and unfortunately our lead singer can't be with us tonight. He's tested positive, actually, but he wanted me to tell you the story of his feelings when he wrote it. It was about growing up, and he was young, and he got slightly intimidated by the whole sort of, how a young person can go out and very, very quickly the situation can change because of drinking and because of alcoholism and because of the drug-related stuff. And when I met Colin, and let's be honest, Colin, who's the founder of Blameless, they do some fantastic work up there in Hamilton. And I got to say this, George, when I played in the track that these guys have written and recorded, there was a tear in his eye. He was absolutely, and it was such a connection between, because it's not just about Merthyr, it's about every city, every town in this country. These young kids, they grow up, and what they know, what these guys have done, is they turn to their music, they turn to their guitars, they turn to their keyboards and their drums, and they're going to take this world by storm.
Well, I just think that, I mean, I played that track and then I went looking for others. I'm sure the audience will do so after the show also. I was knocked out by it. It didn't bring a tear to my eye. I don't cry much, but it really did rock me back on my heels. The sheer power of it, the working class power of it.
Yeah, and there's so many other songs like that as well. But through Colin as well, you know, I'd like to mention that you know, we're lucky St. Luke's are there. They're hosting us on the 4th of March, and then we're going to the Hamilton Accies Stadium on the 5th of March, and we got some gigs going up, and all the proceeds, these guys are not going to take a penny. It's all going back into the Blameless. You know.
No, that's fantastic.
Stuff, which is great, and you know, it's been lovely. I'm going to jump out a minute. George, if you could ask the guys something about themselves, I think that would.
Yeah, we've not got a lot of time. Just pick one of who's the most eloquent. I know all Welsh people are eloquent. Who's going to speak?
I'll speak.
Okay, brother, go ahead. Tell us.
Well, it's started off first as a 4. It was Ian and the singer Jack. They were best friends growing up, and Ian taught Jack to play guitar. And naturally, they kept playing and playing. And then after a few years, they wanted to form a band. They knew Jack through martial arts, which they went to. They asked Jack to be the drummer. And it was actually me and the singer. We were in a party. He's good friends with my sister. And it was me and him. We stayed up playing guitar. And then that's how I formed in the band. And then during COVID, it gave us a good chance to stop gigging and actually write songs and try and expand our sound. And then we invited Morgan down to a couple of practices, and he came with his keyboard, and that's the way he enhanced the sound and filled it out. And we're just looking at that. Yeah.
It's you all look very young. What kind of ages are the band?
I'm 25.
You're the old man of the band, I think. Who's the youngest?
I'm a baby. I'm 20 years old.
20 years old. Well, I tell you what, lads, I know a thing or two about music. I'm a sax player, former double bass player, and I've been listening to music a long time. I predict a very big future for PaisleyParc. Very smart name, by the way. Very smart name. Who picked it?
Jack.
Yeah.
Very clever name. Lads, thanks for joining us. Sorry the line was not that great, but you got your message across. And everyone, after this show is over, please go onto YouTube and check them out. I tell you this, you'll be very, very impressed.